Hello everyone, in this video I would like to talk about how we can access different elements in a data frame. How can we extract some desired rows and columns from a data frame? So let's start with this data frame. We have some students over here with their IDs and their marks for different courses. And then we call this data frame df. So in this video, I would like to focus on two important things, df.iloc and df.loc, and see how they work. And I will show you different examples, and then we will discuss different things for these two important commands. So let's start with this. So df.iloc 1 to 3 and then 2 to 4, it means that it is going to return rows with index of 1 and 2, which is going to be 0, and then 1 and 2, which is going to be Julia and Rachel, and then columns 2 to 4, which is 2 to 3, in fact, because 4 is not going to be read. So I have to find 2 and 3. So this is 0, 1, 2, and 3. So it is going to be physics and chemistry, as you can see here. So df.iloc works with index number. So you give it a number and then it works based on that. So let's see some more examples on this. So df.iloc, so for this one, it gives you all rows, as you can see, a colon over here, and then -1 and beyond. You know, remember, -1 means the last one. So, and then the last one and beyond actually means the last one itself. So that's why we have all rows and the last column, which is arts. For this one, we have all rows and then all column except the last column, because the -1, which represents the last column, is not going to be read. And remember, you know, -1, whenever you see -1 in Python, it actually means n-1, which is number of columns -1, which is not going to be read in this case. Anyway, let's go to the next one. You know, so we have seen that, you know, for rows we can give it a range of values to extract some desired rows, or we can give a range for columns to extract some desired columns. But instead you keep it short, you know, we can give it a number like 0. But in this case, it is going to be attributed to the row only. So it doesn't have to do anything with the columns. Or instead of row, so when I give it 0, it is going to give me the first row of the data frame, and then it is not a range. That's why it prints as a pandas series or PD series. That's why we have just a series over here, PD series over here. And then, or you can give it a range. So, sorry, you can give it a list. It means that you would like to have the row with index 0 and then the row with index 3. So let's see which one are they. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3. So it is going to be Martin and Cuckoo. As you can see, Martin and Cuckoo over here. And or you can give it a range. And remember, this range is going to be attributed to the rows. So it has nothing to do with columns. So as you can see over here. And then, so let's do some more examples. And then it says -1 and beyond, which means the last row, in fact, and then all columns. So that's why we have this result. So it returns this. And then it means all rows except the last row and all columns. That's why Anna is removed over here. So you see, this is the different ways of extracting. So I'm just giving you some different examples, you know, several examples, so that you feel comfortable with all this. And then for this one, so it means the last row, because it says the last row and beyond, so which is the last row in fact, and then columns with index of 1, 3, and 4, which are going to be math, physics, chemistry, and arts, as you can see here. Or for rows and columns, you can give them a list. So as you can see, this is the extracted data frame or part of the data frame. So I'm done with df.iloc over here. So to keep it short, you know, for rows and columns, you can either give a range, or you can give just a number, or you can give it a list for rows and columns. I mean, for the first argument, you can give it a range, you can give a number, or you can give a list. Or for this one is the same. So you can give it a number or list or range. This is the way df.iloc works. But what if I don't know the index number, and then you know, I just want to find, okay, the information for Cuckoo or information for Julia. So let's see. So in this case, I'm not working with index number. I'm working with the name. I'm working with the index itself. For this kind of problems, we can use df.loc. So look, df.loc Julia, it is going to give me the row for Julia, and then it is just one thing. There is no range over here, so it is going to return a PD series. And then if I want to have all these values in a list, I just put toList. So df.loc Julia toList. Okay, and then if you want to exclude this one, you just say, okay, 1 and beyond. So let's see what happens. So it doesn't read this one, and then it reads the rest. Okay. Another way is, so you would like to have like all rows from Rachel to Anna. So it means that you give it a range, and then it is going to give you, and you remember, but it has nothing to do with the column, right? Because it is df.loc. It works with the name of the, like you have in the index column right here, and then it is going to give you rows. So df.loc works with rows. And another example, you can give it a list. So you see, so this is the answer for that. So the thing is, you know, you can give it a list, either a list or range or just a name over there. So df.loc is a very flexible command, very helpful, and you can give it like a list or just a name or a range. Another thing is, what if you wanted to know the mark for Julia in the math course? So you want to have one specific element in the row that is for Julia. So again, this row belongs to Julia, right? So I just put df.loc Julia, and then I just put math over here. So it means that df.loc Julia goes to the row that belongs to Julia and then gives me the number that is in this column for math. Another thing, one more thing that I would like to share is that, you know, it is not like df.iloc or loc. So, you know, there is another way of getting access in data frames, which is this one. So df and then brackets, and then you give it a range, and then again it is working with rows. But of course, you can replace this with df.iloc to be 100% sure if you find it confusing. But another important thing here is, if I put a number over, you see a range over here which is working, right? But if I put a number here like 1, and then if I run it, it's not going to work. Or if I give a list over here and run, it's not going to work. So I'm not going to waste time on this because I have explained df.iloc, and then it works perfectly fine. So you don't need to have this. Just in case, if you see this somewhere, so just remember, it must be in a range, like, so it must have the format of a range so that for this to work. Now let's go so up to this point, you know, we have worked with rows. So it means that you give it Julia, Rachel, Cuckoo, Martin, whatever, and then it gives you the whole row. But what if I'm going to extract columns? The point here is you just put df, there is no loc or whatever, and then you have open brackets, and then inside the brackets, please remember, inside the brackets, you must provide a list. Okay, so here I have provided ID and arts, and then I have a data frame, 2 columns, and then I have the answer. And then if I have only one thing like math or just ID or arts, so I just say df again, brackets, and then inside the brackets, I just provide whatever I want. And then of course, because it is not a range, it is not a list, it is going to give me a PD series. And so if I want to make it, convert it to a list, I just put dot to list and then open and close brackets, and then I have this one. And what else? Another thing is, if you want to have all rows down to cuckoo, so what are you? So this is the question. Give me all rows down to cuckoo to this specific person. So the thing is, okay, I could use df.iloc and then show me all columns with this, and then so if cuckoo is 5, is in like a row 5, so I should put 6 over here so that it goes down to 5, right? So it is going to be like all rows down to this number, right? But the question is, how can I find n? So n can be found by df.index .get underline loc and then cuckoo. So it is going to give you the index number for that specific row. As you can see, it is going to give us like everything down to cuckoo. 2 last things which I found very important, very practical and helpful, for some problems, is that, okay, how can I read all rows one by one? And then so let me show you here. So I'm gonna have the first row to be read, and then I want Martin to be printed first, and then all elements in the first row to be printed here. And then the second person, so read the second name of the second person and then give me all numbers over here. And then the third person, and then all numbers over here. So let's go there. So I have df.index to list and then rr. It means that I have a list of all names. And then I say, okay, for I in rr, print I. It means that, so for this, so it is going to print the name, like Martin for the first round. And then you remember, if you know the name of the person and then you want the whole row to be printed, you just say df.loc, name of the person, and then just because it is just one thing, it is going to give you a PD series, and then by adding dot to list, so you will be having a list. So let me run this. Okay, that's perfect. So so you see Martin and then ID number, and then so marks for different courses, and then it goes to the second loop, and then it reads the second person, and then it gives you all elements in that specific row in the form of a list, as you can see here. So the thing is, you have to remember that df.loc and name of the person, it is going to give you the whole row, the whole elements in that row. We could do exactly the same thing for columns, right? So if you see here, okay, CC and then df.columns to list is going to be the titles for all columns printed in C. Now CC is in fact a list that contain the titles for all columns, and then I'm going to read the titles one by one. For I in CC, print I, that's why you have ID, math, physics, right? And then remember, if I give you the title of a column and then you want to read the whole column, you just say df, if you remember, open and close brackets, and then inside the brackets you just put that specific title. Okay, for this, so if you wanted to read, if you remember, if you wanted to read like 2-3 columns, you should provide a list over here. But here I just want to have one single column, which is going to be a PD series, and then I put it dot to list to give me a list of all elements in that specific column. One last thing to finish off this whole work is this very powerful command, which is df.values to list. This is in fact, this line, which I call val, provides a large list with each row converted to a list. So look at this. This is a large list, and then the first element is all the elements that I have in the first row that has been converted to a list. So when I say val 0, it is going to give me all elements in the first row converted to a list, okay, which is going to be the ID and then this number and then this number and then this number. But I don't want to read the number, sorry, the ID, so I just put 1 and beyond, which is going to read 17.5 and then beyond. That's why I got this. So last 3 things that I have just shown you, they are very helpful, you know, if you want to read like rows line by line and then plot something, you know, or read column by column and plot something, you know, or against each other. So it is going to be very helpful, you know, for those situations. So I hope you have found this video helpful, and if you have any question, if you have any idea, just please share and let me know by comment. So have a lovely day and take care. See you soon. Bye.